Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. To our lecturer, Dr. Hamdino. So today, me and my team gonna present about ESG. First of all, my name is Mohamad Shahrin. So before we move to the ESG, let me explain first to you what is non-financial information. Non-financial information is often used in policy decision making and providing information like environment, social, governance, which is ESG, and we have other things like sustainability and employee satisfaction. Regarding to protect the environment, maintenance and market share. So we have other things too, like inflation, government policy and financial information that affect the decision making in the organization. So I'm gonna put the conceptual framework in this video so you can see the flow, which is how the monitoring variable can affect the decision making for protecting environment, market share and maintenance. Okay, next is what is ESG. So ESG stands for environment, social and governance and refers to the three central factors in measuring the sustainability of an investment. It was derived from the three bottom lines, also known as people, planet and profit, a concept introduced in 1990s. It argued that business should focus on each of the three P's, not only on profit, since they were equally important for any commercial enterprise to be sustainable. So the first is environmental, which examines how the business contribute to and perform the environmental challenges like pollution, waste, greenhouse emission. And number two is social criteria. Look at how the company treats people. Example of the human capital management, diversity and equal opportunity. And the last thing in governance. Governance criteria examine how a company is governed. Example of executive remuneration, tax, practice and strategy, corruption and bribery, and the board diversity and the structure.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Hanis and my metric number is DL1739897. Today I will present about the ESG or environment, social, governance factors example. So we have a three: the environmental, social and governance. What we have in environmental: waste and pollution, we have a resource depletion, greenhouse gas emission, deforestation. For what we have at the social: employee relation and diversity, working condition, local communities and conflicts. What we have in the governance have a tax strategy, executive remuneration, donation and political lobbying, and a corruption and bribery. The last one is board diversity and structure. So ESG have a three central factors. Environment, social and governance factors are a subset of non-financial performance indicator, which include ethical, sustainable and corporate governance issues, such as making sure there are systems in place to ensure accountability and managing the corporation carbon footprints. So, why ESG is important? ESG is very important due to its financial benefits towards companies and investors, which attract investors to go for a green investment fund and being responsible to it, and with ESG providing a better performance and better financial indicator that correlate with the companies who want to pursue high ESG performance. So ESG also give long-term benefits on its activity. So this is why the ESG is very important.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mohamad Shahrin Al-Johary with a metric number DL1731733. This is my part of my presentation regarding about for subject FIN 4150, financial statement analysis and this is for the continuation of my group, non-financial information, ESG. Okay, so this ESG was already presented by my other two teammates or classmates, which is Mohamad Shahrin and Mohamad Hanis bin Abdul Ghani, and I will now continue on the part of ESG. Okay, so one of the first part of ESG a few parts of ESG that I'll be sharing for this is the long-term benefits of ESG activities. What are the long-term benefits, right? Okay, so the long-term benefits is adaptability, prepared for regulation, innovation, and positive brand image. So adaptability, evolving a business models to minimize the impact of disruption from technology or regulation. And for prepared for regulation, what is it? Okay, the adoption of or investment in renewable energy infrastructure and technology to reduce carbon emissions and costs arising from environment tax or payments that offsetting the carbon emissions. Okay, so innovation, what is it? Well, it is a technological advancement in fostering a sharing economy that promotes innovation and improve efficiency and positive brand image, which company that have high ESG rates might getting a better retention rates. Yeah, high ESG value equals to a higher retention rates. So this can show a positive brand image towards other companies, and which is will be in a recognition of around staff and customers. Moving on is that the fact that environmental, social, and governance disclosure, the ESG disclosure. Okay, this ESG disclosure will affect corporate governance performance in a positive effect, which can help to improve a firm of ESG disclosure towards a firm performance. Companies that practice environmental performance are much likely to gain a high level of ROE. Okay, in return, this result by increasing a firm's value. The disclosure of this ESG will likely to make a firm performance remarkable. That is something the good effect of the ESG disclosure. In fact, it's quite having a good impact towards the companies. So that is one of the most crucial things that we need to know. Is it good or is it bad? But it's actually a positive side for this conclusion of this presentation video that we make. So our suggestion and conclusion is that the first is the majority of companies that are still operating on short-term profits need to start implementing corporate sustainability, and even more advanced companies with their sustainability qualifications need to integrate material ESG issues and more deeply into the core of their corporate strategy. That's for the first suggestion and one of the three conclusions that we have. Second is new narrative needs to be developed for the role of business society. This narrative should redefine growth, like how much is needed, and prosperity should only be measured financially as a method to better protect the planet while serving the human needs. Thirdly, the failure of public policy to restrain the corporate sustainability movement needs to be addressed. This is a very good thing that we need to address for regarding about the failure of public policy to restrain. This is the things that we need. Okay, and finally, and what holds the most promise of this ESG is that its need for greater alignment between companies and investors in the financial markets. This pathway is especially important because the first three alone will not lead the pace of change, but actually the necessary to ensure a sustainable society in the years to come. So this is what holds the promise and our conclusion for the FIN 4150. Okay, so that's all regarding about the non-financial information ESG, and our part for this video presentation is done. So I believe that is all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.